is a really fun yellow house, like yellow door in a house. We're gonna keep this fairly loose. Focus on the door. And so I'm gonna do a quick sketch. Colors are working out. Mostly lemon with a pop if I can. I'm gonna test it right here. Kind of see how that mixture dries. I'm gonna just do a little lighter test because it's not quite that saturated. Okay, so that'll be our door. Probably for the white part, I'm going to do the Payne's gray, just really, really light. And I like to add a little blue to my grays. And I didn't clean my brush well enough, so it's turning out green. So I'm adding a little bit more of the blue. Okay, I don't like that it turned out green, so I'm gonna wipe it off and take some time to clean my brush. Okay, so a little bit of your lighter blue, I would say, and a little bit of your Payne's gray. And we're gonna put this on super light, so we don't need a ton of pigment, and that'll be for just showing shadow on the white part of the buildings. For the roof, which is kind of like a bit of a terracotta roof, I'm gonna use my burnt umber or sienna. So this guy right here, but mainly these three colors in here. Get a nice stab. I'm actually gonna pull in some orange, just so it doesn't look so flat. I think the orange is gonna give it a nice pop. So a little bit more of the brown and a little bit of the darker brown, just to kind of lower it out. Okay, now I'm going to go to my sap green, and I'm going to mix in some lemon yellow and touch of blue. Too much blue, some more lemon yellow. So got that. Going back to lemon yellow, I still have a little bit of green on my brush. I'm gonna keep a little pool of that for my lighter parts of the plant. And then I'm gonna do cad blue with some lemon yellow. So I kind of have three values of green here that I can pull from for painting a plant. Okay, now the rest I'll kind of freehand it, so just kind of try to follow along. Something that we're gonna do on this one is we're gonna leave the edges loose, so that means there's no taped edge. And this is just another technique, I think, that I'm just kind of testing my colors here. I think the loose edge lends itself to fun sketchbooks and things like that. So those are my colors I'm working off of. Put those aside. So you'll see I'm not gonna perfectly paint each part of this, but I'm gonna do a lighter wash in here. I want to mimic some of the fun things that are happening. I'll come back and darken it later. I'm taking my dark brown. This is quite dark, so I'm barely using any water. And I'm coming in and laying that dark brown. Look at that window frame. Okay. More frame. And through here. Okay. Fantastic. All right, I'm liking that so far. Don't really want these to be bleeding, but such is life. Okay, I'm gonna lay in some of that light blue. Just really light. That's even too much, so knock it down a bit. Add some water. Even though the window doesn't show up as blue, they do, oh, I got a little bit of bleeding. They do tend to read better when you make them blue. That, oh my goodness. That's a window. Making lots of mistakes, so hope you guys feel comfortable doing that as well. Okay, I want to let this door frame dry because that is actually the most important part. And then we have these bricks kind of pulling out a very similar color to the top. I'm gonna get it nice and wet and then kind of add some more color in there because I think that can kind of keep this interesting and keep it from feeling too tight, too controlled. It's kind of something we want to fight against. So just kind of doing a mini wash right in here. Remember, we're gonna come back over with some details. Now, I like this brown, but I think how we're gonna see it work best for us is if we actually add some blue to it. So orange and blue are complementary. And so I'm doing brown and orange, and they'll kind of create contrast by popping against each other. So I'm gonna throw that in here. Here. There's like a nice little shadow under there. A line coming out here. That's where I'm at. And I'm just gonna put some of the grout of the bricks in here. We're not trying to make this picture perfect. Which is a good reminder. So the shadow of the ceiling coming in here. I kind of like the little edge. And then I'm liking this darker color, so I'm bringing it totally in. Give this frame so it doesn't feel so singular, doesn't feel so flat. Just give it some dimension. Okay. So again, my brush isn't super wet. I'm kind of enjoying the dry brush aspects, and it looks a little awkward right now, but that's okay. It's to be expected. So I'm gonna have some fun. I'm cleaning up my brush, and I like this kind of color play right here. So I'm gonna see if I can just add a little bit of that into our roof. Just kind of make it more interesting. I'm actually gonna tilt my paper up on an eraser so I get that gravitational pull. Okay, now there's a bit of green in the roof, which I think is fun, the mossy green. So before this dries, I'm gonna hint at some of that mossy green. Okay, now I want this to dry, so I'm gonna work on the bush next. When you look at this photo, there's not a very clear light source. So, because it's an overcast day. So I'm going to pretend my light source is over here so that I have something I can go off of. So I'm gonna lay in kind of a first nice kind of light blue-green right through here. Oh, it's a little blue, so add some green. And I'm just, because this is the light part of the bush and the first wash, I'm keeping it super light so I can come back in later and have a nice dark contrast. So kind of fun. Remember, it's the edge of the paper, so this is going to be the edge of the painting right here, so I can kind of have fun with how I want to make the shape. It doesn't have to be exact to what we're seeing. Okay. I'm going to start some light wash greens in these parts of the plant as well. So let's have a bit more yellow. So again, it doesn't have to be precise at this point. You're just kind of laying in the information, and we'll come back in, tighten it up later. Okay. I think this is dry enough. I'm also going to come back in. The brown really got in here, so I just want to relay in some of that window blue. I don't paint all the way to the edges with the window because a lot of times there's some trimming, and I like to keep those little details I think can make it pop. So, all right, so now we're going back to our really fun lemon yellow. I'm going to add a good amount of water. Start with it light. And I'm going to paint over these little drawn elements because I'm going to come back in with pen later. And the pen's really nice because just you have a little bit more control with pen than you do a paintbrush. Okay, so now remember, watercolor will dry lighter. This is maybe a touch too dark. So I'm just kind of adding some water to spread out the color. Okay. We'll let this dry for a second and then we'll come back.